Hi, I'm Kaylilani Minami. I'm a junior at Claremont McKenna College, currently studying international relations with a sequence in women and gender studies. Something that a lot of people don't know about me is that I really love TED Talks. And it's really embarrassing because over the summer I would listen to at least one TED Talk before I went to work. I'd listen to one while I was doing my makeup, I would listen to one while I was in the car, and I would listen to one on the way home from work. So I was watching between 1 to 3 TED Talks a day for the summer. And so when I came home, when I came to college after the summer, I thought to myself, I can keep up this routine. And so I turned on my stereo in North Quad, and I started to play TED Talks. And then it became increasingly awkward when my suite mates would knock on my door and ask me if I was talking to myself. The funny thing about TED Talks is that the speaker always has an idea worth sharing, but they never really tell you how to share your idea worth sharing. So when I was notified that I was nominated for a forum talk, I thought, this is great. I've had a full summer of preparation, and now I can put this preparation into practice. But I was in for a big shock when I was writing at least 5 speeches, scrapping all of them, talking to all my peers, talking to some professors, writing on whiteboards because I had no idea what hashtag CMC social scene even meant. And so I took a step back from all my frustration and I thought, how do I, as a CMC student, navigate within my social climate? And I've come to the idea that there are 2 varying narratives on how I should shape my identity and shape my social interactions. The first is the idea of work hard, play hard, that ultimately promotes a stereotype of what a typical CMC student looks like. And the other is the idea that CMC promotes diversity and inclusivity through campaigns like I Am CMC or CMC is Us to give the impression that there's no such thing as a typical CMC student. So navigating between these 2 spaces, should I shape my identity and interactions through CMC, or should I shape CMC's identity through myself? And so I thought about work hard, play hard. And what does that really mean? What does that look like? And I thought this was best personified through the CMC bro wearing his 3-piece suit, riding his longboard through Kravis on his way to an interview or to a networking event. Later that night, you'll see the same guy playing beer pong and taking about 10 shots in 5 minutes. And it's funny, because we all know somebody who does that. And I'll admit, to a certain degree, I bought into the work hard, play hard stereotype. I work really, really hard. I work at the Asian American Resource Center as an intern, and I am part of 3 different committees. When I'm not working there, I'm working football. If I'm not doing that, I'm babysitting professors' kids. I volunteer once a week at a local elementary school. I was just volunteering for the Saturday Tongan education program that I do every week so I can be here. And when I'm not doing that, I'm applying for scholarships so I can study abroad and figuring out what a visa is because I've never been abroad. And for some reason, I still have time to do this forum talk, and I have no idea how people find me or schedule lunch dates with me without knowing my Google Calendar schedule. So after a really long, tiring day, I get to go back to my dorm, and I can sleep. But if you're a typical CMC student, you've earned yourself a night to go out and play hard. Unfortunately, playing hard is related to our drinking culture at CMC. And this experience can be both isolating and dangerous. On the bright side, I really feel that our drinking culture promotes social responsibility. If you see a dangerous situation happening, you should call an RA because we have a Good Samaritan policy, which really puts the student health and safety at the forefront. If you see a situation you feel comfortable enacting in, you should, because you can take programming from TILDOT, the Bystander Intervention Program. And for those of my friends who don't like drinking, they've expressed to me that they've never felt direct pressure from their peers to drink alcohol. So I'm really thankful that we aren't forcing each other to drink. But at the same time, work hard, play hard has created a diffusion of personal responsibility and a justification for our irresponsible behaviors. When we see each other for brunch the night after a party, we ask the same question. Did you go out last night? Because we've learned to ask each other, what did we do? Without asking why we did it. And as a result, behaviors like binge drinking, blacking out, self-inflicted injuries because of binge drinking or blacking out are normalized. We've learned how to ask the whats without asking the whys. So we are willfully blind as students to the cost of sustaining a work hard, play hard mentality. But if the work hard, play hard mentality ultimately promotes a homogeneous version of what a stereotypical CMC student should look like, then how can CMC promote diversity and inclusivity? So we have campaigns like I Am CMC, or CMC is Us, to give us the idea that CMC's identity is our identity. So there's no such thing as a stereotypical CMC student. And with that campaign, I see a great increase in social responsibility and social awareness for groups on campus that are traditionally underserved and underrepresented. We've seen support for the Women's Forum, for CMC students of color, for SAGA, and within ASCMC we have a new diversity chair. But at the same time, we never ask why we have these groups. Why do these groups do the work that they do, especially if I don't identify with those groups? So I came back 2 weeks early to do first year guide training, and I was with all these other CMC students and we were buzzing. We were really excited to see each other after a long summer, and we kept asking each other the same question: what did you do this summer? What was your internship like? And of course I responded with the same excitement. I was working in the legal department of a biotech company. It was awesome. What did you do? And so they would tell me what they did. And I really felt I got to know them. We were exchanging our interests. We got to know what we liked. But I realized that there's deeper interaction to be had when I had lunch with my friend from Pitzer. He came back from the summer, and we sat down at lunch, and he asked me the same question. What did you do this summer? And I told him the same thing. I asked him what he did. But then he followed up with some questions I wasn't expecting. He asked me, why did you do that internship, and how has it changed you? And I realized those questions were asking me what motivated me to do what I did, and moving forward, how has my experience either changed or used my motivations to influence my future actions? At CMC, we learn to do, and we do to learn. But with a million things to do and a million things to learn, there's so many reasons as to why and how we do those things. Just asking the what we do gets to the surface. But when you ask the why and the how, you understand the passion that drives those actions. And for me, I'll be honest. There are times at CMC where I don't feel safe or accepted. I don't feel accepted if I don't identify as a work hard, play hard stereotype. I don't feel safe to define myself outside of what I do because some of my peers have learned how to understand what I do instead of understanding why I do it. There's a disconnect in our social interactions. And I believe that we can see a positive improvement in our social scene that extends beyond the work hard, play hard stereotype, that elaborates on the idea that CMC is us. If we start asking more than the whats and start asking the hows and the whys. And that, I believe, is an idea worth sharing. Thank you.